Hi, I'm Sarah Ray from Cities Today, and welcome to our latest webinar in the series with City Zenith, where we're looking at the benefits of digital twins and how cities and their partners can use and adopt them. So in today's event, we're going to be talking about another real example, this time in the city of Phoenix, which is the latest project in City Zenith's Clean Cities, Clean Future program. So just to let attendees know that we will be sharing the recording after the event, and we'll also be taking Q&As after the short presentations. So first we're going to hear from Michael Jansen, who is the founder and CEO of City Zenith. And then we'll also hear from partners in the Phoenix project. So we're going to be hearing from Jason Whitett from Amazon Web Services, who is the Digital Innovation Lead at the Arizona State University Smart Cities Cloud Innovation Center. And we also have Sarah Scoville-Weaver, who is a Senior Business Development Manager at Downtown Phoenix, Inc. So let's start with you, Michael.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Sarah, for introducing us. Hello, Jason. This is Jason Whitett from Amazon. Thank you for joining, Jason. And of course, welcome to all of the attendees from all over the world who have joined us for this event. I believe this is the fourth one in our series.
Yes.
Okay, got that right. Very honored to have guests, our partners in Phoenix for the Digital Twin project that we are undertaking there. Jason Whitett runs the Smart Cities Group at Amazon in Phoenix, and Sarah Scoville-Weaver is a specialist at the Downtown Phoenix Inc. Organization, which is responsible for the development of downtown Phoenix. So procedurally, I'm going to get into my presentation. Hopefully you'll be able to see my screen. Please give me a nod if you can.
Yes.
Very good. And from here, I'll spend about 15-20 minutes talking about what we do as a company, and then Sarah and Jason will have an opportunity to come along and present also. And at the very end, we're going to have a Q&A session where you'll be able to enter your questions in the chat window, and we'll get to hopefully as many as we can by the end of the session. So as I mentioned, we are in the City Zenith, company based in Chicago and London, is a digital twin provider that focuses on something we call urban digital twins, which we're going to talk about today. The initiative that we launched as a company, really discussing it publicly for the first time at the end of last year, and now formalizing engagements in cities, is called Clean Cities, Clean Future, which we'll be talking about today. And that program is designed to see the implementation of digital twin technology in cities to help them do a variety of things, including just to effectively design a better path to net zero emissions, but among many other things that the digital twin will accomplish in its natural course. Welcome, Sarah Scoville-Weaver. There she is. So I mentioned very quickly urban digital twins, and urban digital twins are an interesting one because they are really digital twins that apply to the scale of the city. So for those of you not familiar with the term digital twin, which could be many, digital twins are virtual representations or replicas of physical building objects, whether those are, in our case, transport networks, buildings, infrastructure, etc., that are connected to all of the data in and around them, as well as a variety of different types of analytics applications that help the users of digital twins, especially those that are involved in large-scale building projects or city projects, better plan, better build, and ultimately better operate those assets. So digital twin technology has been talked about now for the last, I suppose, few years, and is a broad kind of category. And we're now beginning to see some of the results of earliest digital twin projects. These figures are from an Ernst & Young report that was published, I think, approximately 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that began to quantify the savings that customers are reporting they have from leveraging this technology across largely the built environment, including buildings and infrastructure. Operating costs being reduced by 35%, productivity going up by 20%, and of course, emissions, interestingly, potentially being cut by 50 to 100%, and we'll kind of get into more of that today. So those of you who saw one of our recent webinars saw the ABI research analyst Dominic Bonta from ABI, who was the author of this piece of research on the quantitative value proposition of digital twins in cities, has estimated that over the next few years, cities will receive $280 billion in benefits from city planning development and operating cost savings, which is an extraordinary figure. The market itself is growing rapidly from $3 to $48 billion over the next few years. And Forbes is predicting that by the year 2026, 500 major world cities will rely on digital twin technology for daily operations. So the inconvenient truth is that buildings in cities are kind of the big culprit, if you will. They're responsible for 50 to 70% of emissions in cities, 80% or more in densities like New York and other large-scale cities, and represent. Research varies on this. 30% is a safe figure. This morning I was watching something over in Glasgow, a wonderful presentation on new green building certification strategies that put the number at 39% of all global emissions come just from buildings. People don't realize, I think it's all airplanes. That's not true. And 75% of all buildings in America will need to be retrofitted to be green in order to achieve our climate goals that are being talked about across the pond right now in Glasgow. The reality is that we're kind of off of that target. There is only 100,000 buildings of America's current 6 million buildings that are actually green as LEED qualified, silver, gold, or platinum, and only 0.08%. Whoops, something's playing around with me. The ghost came in here and just moved things around. That's kind of odd. The 0.01% or less of all buildings are actually net zero, which means that just 500 commercial buildings. Now we're basically adding a lot to that stock now. We added 500 buildings. We're projected to this year. But when you think about how many buildings we have, there's a long way to go. So we think that American cities can actually lead here. Love the pun. Lead, it means leadership in energy excellence and design. It's a standard for sustainable design set by the AIA and the DOE. And the goal is, or the way to achieve net zero emissions for a building typically is to implement a few things. The first is smart building or energy management or energy reduction systems, which are typically called BMS or EMS systems. Then, of course, on-site renewable strategies, whether that's solar or geothermal or something of that nature. And then finally, of course, the residual fossil fuel dependency can be offset by buying carbon offsets from a variety of sources, sequestered forests, wind farms, all kinds of things. And then that process needs to be continually monitored and recertified every single year. So what's driving a lot of this now is the race to zero. This slide was made before the actual budget was hit. I think it's 1.75 now. I'm not quite sure if we're quite there, but it's a lot of money. That's going to create a green building retrofit market worth $200 billion over the next few years in the United States. So why isn't this happening at scale if it's such a fantastic idea? Part of the problem is that green building consultant fees are expensive. It can cost anywhere from something like $2 to $7 per square feet. And it really represents a challenge for building owners who are used to paying $2 per square foot, for example, for energy for the entire year, to then be paying this for a system. So it also nets out to $600,000 per 100,000 feet of space in capital costs. That's a lot. And that can take several years to pay back, averaging 4 to 7, often more than that. And typically, real estate companies, they have a target, especially at the top of the ownership period, to pay back their investments in 3, maximum 5 years. So basically, these aren't safe investments for them. They don't return quickly enough. And that's now beginning to change. A lot of activity happening around green financing, and you can kind of describe the market as one that is in a phase of maturing. And I've been studying a lot about different activities of green building agencies around the world. They're all doing great stuff, but what they lack really, from our perspective, is a platform. And as such, less than only 1% of annual operating profits go back into green building retrofits, and that needs to triple in order to get to where we want to be to achieve SDG and Paris climate goals. So one of the big problems is that green building retrofit consulting itself is expensive, labor intensive, and risky. You have this cottage industry of consultants, ex-architects, current architects, engineers, green building specialists, et cetera, who are out there effectively promoting these services. And the challenge that they have is that they really don't have enough. There's so much regionalism in their work that every solution is quite custom. They use thousands of different tools. There's no creating a common solution out of that can be scaled. So it's very much patchwork business. And as a result, owners tend to hesitate to commit to that type of capital outlay. So our thought process has been that by providing a tool that can aggregate all these critical tools in the building decarb process, that we can provide a nexus, a hub, a glue point between these different systems to correlate and optimize the efficiencies of every part of the building decarbonization process. And that's a lot where SmartWorld as a product is focusing. That's important because we think urban digital twins are really the right answer. They are a key to winning. They allow you to simulate and manage all kinds of complexity in a very meaningful and collaborative way. We're using the twin in this case to predict energy consumption and financial outcomes at scale, among other things. And we'll also be looking at planning outcomes in this project with Phoenix, which Sarah will talk about a little bit later. So it's really a wonderful opportunity for us to kind of explain to dive really deep on all of this. And there are even neater than that is the ability to deploy multiple strategies in the twin. For example, if I use this BMS and I use that EMS and that solar and that geothermal solution, what are the impacts? And we are in the process of beginning to develop some of these tools that will model this. Our goal is over the course of these pilots to have this fully deployed. So for us, property owners, facilities managers, infrastructure operators, these are our usual collaborators and customers, energy services firms, architects, engineers, planners, and of course, city governments as well. This tool, this platform was purpose built for them. I am an architect by training and an entrepreneur by vocation, if you will. I'm one of the kind of early evangelists in the 3D BIM space. For those of you who are familiar with that, I built the largest building information modeling services company in the world in the late 2000s that was backed by Sequoia Capital and was able to return to my investors 17 times their money in 3 years. So it was a real successful business and also taught us a lot about the problems of the industry. By the time we were 500 people, we were serving 30 of the top 50 architecture firms in the world and using like 40 different tools to do a single project. It was a nightmare. We were making money because they were paying us to do all that work, but it was hard for the client. So we felt at that time, we need a better tool. When we started, we hired with great luck. We hired the creator of Google Earth, the gentleman who was the original author of the product called Earth Viewer that Google later bought their very first acquisition and renamed Google Earth. They and myself from Satelier, my previous company, and 3 of the founders of Revit Technologies, which was one of the now probably the most popularly used BIM software in the world, came together to build City Zenith. So I've talked about some of the types of things that we do: airports, seaports, infrastructure, mixed-use commercial complexes, master developments, university campuses is a big one. Fantastic candidates for this type of urban digital twin work. I think universities and downtowns have the most to benefit from in the city space. Real estate portfolios, utilities, districts in cities, and then of course entire cities. We've done a few. We genuinely believe that we have, for what we are doing as an urban twin platform, one of the most advanced in the market, certainly the most flexible and scalable. We have built core technology that allows us to handle a tremendous amount of complexity. And these pilots are allowing us to add various levels of integrations with certain tools that will help us achieve the mission of Clean Cities, Clean Future. The key part was building the underlying core technology, which took a long time and several years, and has set us up for the future. We build, or we allow users to build their own applications. That's one of the exciting things about these projects, is that university students, city governments, really all the free users are able to build their own applications. We like to build this out so an ecosystem of these applications grows, and we'd like to support it. And for example, in the Phoenix project, we have folks from ASU involved and the Harvard Kick, which Jason will talk about. And we have a bunch of partners now helping us to do this. We're not partners with everybody, but just the ones who are helping us to get this done. We joined the World Economic Forum as a global innovator in June, which was, we're one of 140 companies, and I suppose in the last, since the program has started, to have been invited into that program. We were specifically put in charge of the, or put into the Net Zero Carbon Cities group. So that gives us access to 267 of the top experts in the world around the subject of net zero cities. Digital Twin Consortium, we are members of. We also have a workshop there. That workshop is called Building Back Better with Digital Twins, and it's all about using digital twins for decarbonization. We are partners with the 2030 district in different chapters around the country. When the 2030 is a network of building owners in cities that are dedicated to eliminating emissions by 50% by 2030 and fully by 2050. And then the Green Building Council and various chapters that have various names around the country. We are partnered and have sponsored various green building chapters from Pittsburgh to Boston to New York to Illinois, Chicago. All of these we're now sort of becoming friendly with and really actually enjoying engaging. The green building communities are the ones that will actually take the lead on all of this, I believe. So we pledged to donate or to sponsor the implementation of digital twins in 10 to 15 major cities around the United States and Europe. And we are in the process of rolling that out. New York was the first to come on board. We've announced that. The second was Las Vegas, and now we're very honored to have the city of Phoenix. I shouldn't say the city of Phoenix. I'm sorry, I get that wrong every time. Downtown Phoenix, because there's a difference between. We have to be careful that the program is with the stewards of the digital twin model is Downtown Phoenix Inc. And they will invite all kinds of other players, including local community alliances, various city agencies, et cetera, developers, to be part of this collaboration as we goes forward. So the model from a business perspective is it's a platform approach where we finance the implementation of these urban twins and key centers for us. And we monetize, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, to commercial building owners on the back end as we begin to deliver energy savings. And so one of the interesting things that we're developing right now is the digital twin is fabulous at being able to tell you, you should use this system with that system and this system to achieve these financial results and these emissions results. Now we're beginning to look at working with companies that provide access to carbon offsets, sequestered carbon forests specifically. So we hopefully will be able to offer an end-to-end solution to building owners in the near future where they won't even have to pay anything up front. And it's a brilliant financing model leveraging the arbitrage of the future value of carbon credits, and we're modeling this right now, but it's possible that leveraging this model that building owners will even end up cash positive with their retrofits paid for. So it's an amazing opportunity, and this we're going to particularly seek to roll out one example of these in every city where we're working. So the media con of this kind of thing, it was mentioned 1,000 times in media last year in all the right places. We're super proud of that, cannot complain. And we have, I think, established ourselves as David to everybody else's Goliath, frankly, in this industry. There's us, and if that was a gender specific reference, I apologize. But we are a company that has done a lot with very little, and we fight against very big dudes and play well with them too. So we're the company that's kind of is allowed in the room, as it were. We've been fighting our way into the door for a long time, and we now think it's our chance. So among the value propositions that we desire to prove over the course of these pilots will be that for an investment of 10 cents per square foot in this software, we can unlock $3 to $5 per square foot in savings over 3 to 5 years. Don't forget that the U.S. office market has 100 billion square feet of space just in the U.S. alone. So getting into the Clean Cities, Clean Future elements of this, we have a couple of things here. 3 cities that we have begun to work with. It's been fascinating, really working with these different cities to get up, get going. In New York, we're working with the Navy Yard. In Phoenix, we're working with, of course, we just mentioned with downtown Phoenix, and in Vegas, we're working around the area of downtown. And I'll be talking a little bit about all these details. I thought it would be interesting at this time, though, to kind of give you a quick video presentation so you have a little bit of a look at, for those of you who have no idea what this is all about, digital twins in action. This is a bit of a, just a short reel that will show you the digital twin about 30% complete in Orlando, where we are working on a digital twin for the Orlando Sports and Entertainment District, and the use cases around aggregating multiple building management systems from different operators to correlate efficiencies between them. And there's a goal to achieve 15% savings from just that first exercise. Here's what this looks like. Let me see if I can play this for you.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but I lost your audio, Michael.
Yeah.
We can't hear you actually, Michael, but let's go to the next presentation, which is Jason from AWS. So welcome, and we'll go into your presentation. And thanks for the questions that people have sent in so far. We're looking forward to taking them at the end. And just to answer that, yes, there will be a recording available at the end. So welcome, Jason.
Oh, yeah. And hey, Sarah, huge fan. I love the work. I don't know if everybody listening is familiar with you, but I think your work just celebrating the people working in this space and all the good things going on is really, really important. So thank you for everything that you do. I'm Jason Whitett. I am a digital innovation lead from Amazon Web Services, and I'm at what's called the Arizona State University Smart City Cloud Innovation Center. That's a big mouthful, so we call it the KIC. And what the Cloud Innovation Center, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a second, but just a couple other things that I think we were going to cover. Kind of getting into, so Michael went through digital twins. Let's talk a little bit about them in the context of a smart city or in the urban sense. And then the other thing, I think you read a lot about digital twins. Let's talk about some of the actual steps we're taking here, working with Sarah and Downtown Phoenix to actually build one. So you get a sense of what the level of effort and what you're getting into. And then, Michael, I think you covered some of this already, but kind of just diving a little deeper into that use case of reducing carbon emissions and helping cities meet their goals. So looking at that, again, the Cloud Innovation Center, innovation centers are popping up all over the world. Why I think ours is really special, it's a combination of Arizona State University, which you may know is one of the largest universities in the United States, and it's been named the most innovative university for the last 7 years, Amazon Web Services, and then public sector organizations. So ASU brings all of the amazing subject matter expertise from the university, the professors, the researchers, the students. AWS brings our technology expertise, and then folks like Sarah bring their challenges and opportunities. A couple things about us: everything we do is complementary. It's all open source. We publish everything to our GitHub site, and then we're technology and vendor agnostic. So the answer doesn't have to be an AWS solution. And then our goal really is to help develop innovative solutions to help advance the smart city space. And I think digital twins really falls into that. And if you want to read more about some of the work we're doing, you can look at our website, Smart Challenges. So getting into urban digital twins, from the standpoint of the work we're doing, it seems like it's really the evolution of the open data portal. A lot of cities around the world have spent a lot of time investing in making data more accessible. But realistically, to the average person, open data isn't all that helpful unless you've got data science skills and the ability and the time to go query all of this. And so when we were thinking, how can we make data more accessible, help democratize the access to data, it really does seem like the digital twin is that evolution and where that's going. And again, turning data, just raw data, all of the data sets that cities have. And again, I think we're here in the city of Phoenix. And Sarah, the city of Phoenix has something in the neighborhood of about 5,000 data sets that they keep from their recent inventory. So how do you take all of that data and make it accessible, and where we think things are going? And I think some of the reports, like the report Michael mentioned from EY, which is definitely worth checking out, that the digital twin is going to become essential infrastructure for cities. It's going to become an essential tool for the cities around the world to have. And a couple things, just it's still really very much at the nascent stages, I think. ABI research, here's a quote, 500 cities are expected to have digital twins. So if you go in Google and look, there are cities that are playing in the space, but no one's really figured it out at that city scale. The demo Michael showed you, you can do things for buildings and you can do things for smaller regions, but how do you do it at scale? How do you again turn this into that essential infrastructure? So that's something that we're hoping to do with this project. And again, as we start to develop use cases and develop content, be able to share those learnings as open source with all of you. So as cities around the world are trying to figure out how to do this, we can all help each other on that journey. And then, building digital twins, what are some of the elements with this? Can you just push a button and have a digital twin? So, one of the things we know is that data is obviously the key ingredient here, and having the data to power this. So there's the base data you need to go and be able to build the foundational digital twin model. And then there's the specific data that you need to do some of the use cases, whether it's the decarbonization of buildings, whether you're doing transportation, whether you're trying to do affordable housing, whether you're trying to do economic development. Each of those is going to require their own set of data. And so the right place to start is building a data exchange, a data commons, where you can put that data in. And a little different than open data, where there's a portal and all the data is going one way, a data exchange allows that data to go both ways. So if you have building owners or businesses, NGOs, other governments, all have a safe space where you can share your data, you can retain ownership of it, you can go and have identity access management, security, all of those things, be able to see where your data is going. And so once we have that foundational data exchange, bringing in City Zenith to build their platform so that they can layer on top of that, get all the easy access to the data they need. And as we start to build those use case layers, everything can just seamlessly go together. And I think that's the really exciting part of this, is that when you think of all of the work people in working in cities have to do to pull the data together, build the things they want, that they the administrative parts they need to get to being able to use the applications and services that they want to focus on to do their mission critical element. One of the great promises of the digital twin is to have that foundational level already built, so that people, again, whether you're working on transportation or housing or what have you, only need to focus on whatever the mission is and not have to spend all of that administrative time. And I think that's a really big transformation in the paradigm of how people are working in cities. And then lastly, and Michael and Sarah, feel free to jump in on this. And Michael, I think you covered some of this, but the enormity of the challenge. There's a site, Architecture 2030. They had a great site that the global building footprint is expected to double. So when you think of all of these efforts to help reduce carbon emissions coming from buildings, the goalpost is going to keep moving as more and more buildings are being built to help meet all of the needs from increased urbanization. But as we deploy more of these digital twins, they're going to be able to play a role in reducing the footprint of those buildings, but then also the management of the buildings that are there, being able to understand occupancy and how people are moving. That will help with the design and operations of those cities. And then again, being able to optimize all of the systems, the heating, cooling, ventilation, lighting, and then obviously the improvement and reuse of materials. So I'm going to stop there. But Michael, Sarah, anything you wanted to add on to that? No, you guys are good? Okay.
Michael, I don't think we still can hear you, but have a go. Unfortunately not. Okay, we'll go to you, Sarah, and then hopefully Michael will get his audio fixed for the panel.
Okay,
and thank you, Jason.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
wonderful. Okay. Do I need to start the presentation for my slides? Or do those get started?
Michael, do you have the presentation on your computer?
I can absolutely launch in without them. I was just wondering if they were there.
Give it a second, and if not, we'll freestyle without the slides, if that's all
No
right.
problem.
Let's get started then, Sarah, and hopefully they might appear.
Okay, no problem at all. So I'm Sarah Scova-Weaver. I work for Downtown Phoenix, Inc. For those of you who are in the city space, maybe you understand what a business improvement district is. But basically, it's a part of a city that has been set aside to receive expanded services above and beyond what base level the city provides. So ours was created in 1990. Some of the slides that I had were kind of showing why we were created. So pictures of downtown Phoenix back in the 1930s, how bustling we were. We were the center of the city at that time. And then into the 1970s and 80s, which is basically when the city really expanded outward, like many urban cities in the United States. We had a lot of sprawl, a lot of decentralization of our interior inner urban core. And that resulted in really a very disinvested in urban core. And so in 1990, the city of Phoenix got together and said, okay, how can we re-energize our urban area, knowing how important it is to have a thriving, dense environment for an urban city. And so we were formed in 1990. We're a nonprofit, but we work closely with the city of Phoenix. And that's why Michael was quick to say, Downtown Phoenix is the one that is who I represent. I work again closely with the city of Phoenix. The mayor is on our board. We work in contract with the city of Phoenix, but we are not the city of Phoenix. However, we provide services to the city. And so we operate the 90 block area within the downtown Phoenix district since 1990. And our entire focus since then has been on the revitalization of our downtown urban core. Where we are now is a complete turnaround from where we were in 1990. We are experiencing the greatest development boom we've ever had in our inner city. We have almost 4,000 housing units under construction, with another 3,000 in the wings. If you kind of look at that from a background perspective, for 20 years, we only built 77 housing units in our downtown. 7,700 housing units. So for 20 years, we only built 7,700. Right now, I have that exact same amount ready to be done within the next 2 or 3 years. So it's a huge increase in the number of people wanting to live in the urban area, which really got us excited, just as a startup, which really got us excited about this opportunity. We're growing, we're changing as a city so quickly, and as an urban district, that having a way that citizenry, our advocacy committees, our organization, everybody can really look at how we're growing and look proactively and responsively at growing efficiently, growing sustainably, and growing correctly, so that, you know, we continue to develop in a strong way is very, very important to us. So a digital twin and the creation of that, and working closely with Michael as well as with Amazon and ASU when they brought this opportunity to us, was really exciting. So where we are with that is we're looking right now to use downtown Phoenix as a proof of concept model for why a digital twin could be helpful for the entire city of Phoenix. For those of you who don't know our city, it's huge. You know, we're 500 square miles. We're a big, big, big sprawling city, the 5th largest in the United States. But downtown Phoenix itself is really looked at now as a living laboratory example of how you can urbanize and move into density, and why that's important in a really car-centric city, which Phoenix really, really is. So as we build into our interior and infill, how can a digital twin be helpful in us to respond, sustainably and proactively as we grow? So how we worked so far is with City Zenith and with Amazon to really pull together stakeholders who are doing the work in our downtown in a multitude of different areas, everything from transit to sustainability, like I've mentioned, to arts and culture, to private development, and put the question to them and say, hey, would a digital twin be helpful for you? And if it is, then how? So where we are now is, and I wanted to, oh, there's my slides. Okay. Well, this is Downtown Phoenix Inc. You can see a background of our rapidly growing city. I kind of already went through this, but there we were 70 years ago, thriving, bustling. There we were 40 years ago. As you can see, completely hollowed out. You can see definitely just huge surface parking lots. A lot of our historical building stock was completely depleted to make room for parking lots, dirt lots. And this became the story of downtown for really a couple generations. And then downtown today, new buildings, high rises, residential, amenities. We have over 200 plus bars and restaurants, arts, culture, people. So a completely different place. This is the district that I was referring to. The yellow area is our business improvement district. And then the wider area is actually what we were going to be focusing the digital twin on for that proof of concept. So it's a 1.7 square mile area that was defined by the city of Phoenix in 1979 as a blight slum infill zone. So developers got extra incentives to build in this area. And we are seeing the results of that now. Like I said, almost 4,000 units under construction right now for housing, several commercial buildings, and then I have over 25 restaurants and bars set to open in the next quarter. And that's huge if you consider the fact that for decades, nobody would come downtown. We were famous for having the McDonald's that closed at 4 o'clock. In the whole country. We were the earliest closing McDonald's. So it's a really exciting time for downtown Phoenix, in that we're urbanizing. We actually have people now who live in downtown and don't even have a car. That would usually be completely unheard of in the city of Phoenix. So big deal. And what we're really excited about is our business improvement district. This is that 90 block area. It's our urban core. I just wanted to show you guys some visuals of that. And that was the end of that, because I just wanted to kind of show you some examples of why we were interested in a digital twin. And it's really because we are working hard at proactively and efficiently creating an urban core where we haven't had one before. And we want to do that in a very, targeted way. So we are hoping that a digital twin will help us do that. Obviously, all the wonderful things that I can do for new buildings, for emissions, but then also at a more granular, case study standpoint is going to be really impactful. We really believe that visualization is very important. It's one thing to say you have no bike lanes in downtown. It's another thing to show a map that there really are no bike lanes in downtown, and where crash data intersects with that. So that's a lot of what we're very excited about with the digital twin for downtown Phoenix. And we are hoping that this can be used for other cities as well. Our partnership with Amazon, as Jason mentioned, means that the result of this will be open source for people to use. So we're hoping that other cities, governments, localities will say, hey, this was a really, really great tool that they were able to use. And that's something that we may be interested in doing as well. So Anything to add, Jason or Michael?
Awesome job doing that without your slides.
Thank you.
You're spot on.
Do I have sound?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Do.
It's great when I don't talk. Look how amazing they were. Okay, thank you very much, Jason. Thank you very much, Sarah, for both of those wonderful introductions and explaining the thesis behind your involvement and support of a digital twin project. Just wanted to thank you. Sarah Ray, over to you.
Great. So could you just explain to us a bit more about what stage the digital twin is at now? You know, how close to being built is it? What have you put into it? What's next? I don't know who wants to take that.
I can kind of answer that. We are in the beginning stages. We just commissioned the high resolution model, the 1.7 square mile, I believe, area. Was square mile or square kilometer? Square mile.
Sorry.
Yeah, gotcha. And so they are, and Jason and Sarah can talk to this. They've convened a couple of sessions already, digital twin convening sessions. I think it's brilliant, where they're bringing together stakeholders who could be potential users or benefactors of the digital twin, or content contributors, or whomever. And I think getting them involved in the conversation now is really smart, and identifying the needs up front before the project really even starts, which I think is great. So that's beginning to give us some direction, and that's kind of where we are. We've got a goal to get this really by the, I think the model itself should be done in 2 or 3 weeks. And then I would think within 30 to 60 days, we're going to have a model with data to begin looking at. So that's about the time schedule.
Okay, so Sarah and Jason, can you tell us a bit about the process of engaging the local stakeholders? Then, how have you pitched and messaged this to them? What kind of formats are you using, and what responses are you getting?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're, as an organization, we have another organization that we work closely with that's been working in downtown since the 80s. And there's 10 committees ranging in everything from multimodal transit to biomedical to arts and culture to social housing, homelessness, anything that affects our inner city. And so those committees work with volunteer chairs and other people in the committee as well. And they work together to advance policy initiatives at the city level. And so we called them forward to be a part of our 2 workshops that Jason with Amazon held. So we held 2 different workshops. We asked the committee chairs to come forward to be a part of those so that they could bring their unique and interesting ideas around their specific advocacy and interest areas. We didn't just want it to be focused on development in buildings. We had development in buildings as a part of our work study, as part of our work sessions, but we really wanted it to be a more holistic, recognizing that everything kind of touches everything else in a city. It's a network of systems. So we wanted to hear from everybody that does a lot of that work on what was important to them, on how a digital twin could be useful for them. And we definitely got some great case studies from them on, wow, I didn't even know I could do this, and could this help me with this problem? So we have a long list of things that the digital twin could be helpful with. And then we also presented it to the City of Phoenix Planning and Development Department, Community Economic Development Department as well as the mayor's office, so that they could say, okay, these are the top 4 or 5 strategies or focus points that the city has, and how can the digital twin be helpful in that way? So that's another way that we engaged our main stakeholders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason.
And Sarah, not to step in your lane, but one of the things that's really great about downtown Phoenix, when you're thinking about a host for a digital twin, and I think this is a good tactical takeaway, downtown Phoenix, as Sarah mentioned, already convenes all of these stakeholders from in and outside of government. And so downtown Phoenix, in my mind, was this perfect sponsor to bring everyone together to be a sustainable host, someone who can not just do this for today, but is going to help ensure that this thing has life, and again brings that everyone together in a natural way. So as you're looking for a host of your digital twin, I think that's an important thing not to just overlook.
So as you get in these varied stakeholders to the table, I'm interested to know what you're pitching to them to get them there. I mean, are you talking about digital twins up front, or are you talking more broadly and then explaining the digital twin when they get there?
You want me to? So one of the things about the KIC, we use a design thinking methodology called working backwards, which is a big part of the Amazon culture of innovation. And the idea is not to lead with, hey, let's go build a digital twin or with any technology, but who are the people and what are that are working in and around downtown Phoenix? And then what are their problems and opportunities? So what are some of the things that people are wrestling with as they're trying to do urban planning, as they're trying to figure out how to make investments, as they're trying to do things like understand where carbon emissions are and figure out how they're going to go and plan and meet goals. We had a lot of conversations about as downtown Phoenix evolves, there's not a lot of access to health and human services. Just finding a pediatric physician, it just wasn't something that was ever needed. So there's all of these people that have problems every day, and then can we explore that problem or those problems? And then we brought together with Sarah a whole host of stakeholders, and as we started to explore some of those things, it became really clear that a digital twin is something that, again, could take all that raw data that's floating all around and turn it into the wisdom, make it more accessible, so that as people are doing those planning and investment activities, they can have better collaboration, better conversations, and what we're hoping is much better outcomes.
Excellent. So in the webinars, we've talked a lot about buildings, and we did today, but Sarah and Jason, you alluded to a lot of other benefits as well, and we've had people asking about some of the broader benefits. So maybe could you bring to life maybe some of the challenges that people brought to you and how the digital twin could help them address that?
Yeah. And Sarah, do you want to jump in on that, or do you want me to start?
Yeah, sure. I can jump in real quick, and then Jason. We received a lot of challenges, which was great. I see in the chat, questions around public works asset management, and we talked about that with the city. We're hoping that this digital twin platform can be useful for the city as well and how they do things. So not just for citizenry, but also as the city, they have, and our city of Phoenix has so much data, but in how they internally use their data. So we're hoping that, yes, on that side it will be, and we've presented that to them. And then case study wise with stakeholders, which is where we went first, we got everything from, pedestrian safety is a big one, traffic analysis, as we're growing and changing, those are really important. We're building a neighborhood where one hasn't existed before. So using digital twins to help look at where we have existing open space, so where buildings are underutilized and where they could be redeveloped. We're suffering from an affordable housing shortage in our downtown, especially. Everything being built is market rate, which is fine, but it's really tough if we're looking at having an equitable, inclusive city. So looking at how land ownership and land use can be relooked at and re-envisioned is something that's come out strongly. Historical preservation is something that's come out strongly as well. Taking a stock of our buildings in downtown that are potentially vulnerable and wanting to save them. And then also new buildings that are being created. Of course, we've talked a lot about how we can get them building in a way that's more sustainable. We're a little late, I would say, as to the lead party game or to the Clean Cities game, but City of Phoenix is working very, very hard on that in a lot of ways as we continue to heat up. We're a hot city, and so urban heat island effect is something as well as we continue to add more buildings in concrete, where that came out as a case study use for a digital twin. So it was really anything that you can imagine that would touch somebody in a city almost came up. So it's a pretty tall list, a tall order. So what we're doing now is trying to look at kind of the top 5 in partnership with the mayor's office and in partnership with our stakeholders. We're going to do a solutions workshop, and then obviously make sure that we can get the data that will be useful in order to help address those challenges.
And Sarah Ray, if I can, so I'm looking at the chat. It looks like Lynn Walford. How does the software help with roads, traffic, and infrastructure? A couple use cases. So your city wants to go put in, say, bus rapid transit, or is figuring out what's the right way to expand mobility. And the way that it works today, you go into a meeting and the planners come in and they've got all their plans and they say, here's the couple scenarios we're thinking, and then they have a conversation about that, and people will say, well, what if we did this and what if we tried that? Everyone has to go away, get all the data, put everything together, and then come back. But what if we can look at different scenarios in real time and say, if we put the bus route up this way, here's the run time, here's the idle time, here's how long it's going to take, here's the catchment area of the people likely to come in, here's the how close you are to important infrastructure like schools, jobs, affordable housing, healthcare facilities, all of those other things that people want to get to. And can you look at different models on the fly, allow everybody to participate in that conversation, and again, ultimately get to better outcomes. So that's one example. Another one that we've looked at is with all of the investments into infrastructure, all the construction, if you want to replace a bridge or tunnel or other roadway, that has big impacts. And if you think of the thousands of vehicles or people that are using some of these walkways, if you have to reroute everyone, what's the impact? What's the impact on small businesses? Everyone used to go get their coffee here, and now everyone's going a different way. Who's going to get impacted by that? What's the impact on neighborhoods if all of a sudden there's 10,000 cars a day coming through a neighborhood that never had that type of traffic? Being able to see all of those things, because you've got the traffic flows and all of this other data, but now you're able to see it in real time.
Brilliant. Michael, how about you? Do you want to expand on, any of the varied challenges that Sarah mentioned had been brought to them? How this could help, for example, housing affordability or the urban heat island effect. Could you give us any examples of how this could help?
Yes, what digital twins do in the kind of climate battle is focus on using data to make things better, and studying things like urban heat island effect, etc. Is really a data calculus. It incorporates real-time weather information, predictive weather information, wind maps, etc. And not only can we isolate that, but we can actually study it. There are tools out there that could be integrated to, for example, if you're building a new development, in which Phoenix is a great example. I mean, Phoenix is a great candidate to go tall because not only the redensification will bring about all kinds of liveliness at the street level and reinvigorate the economy, but also in hot cities, tall buildings provide shade. So right away, you've reduced the load substantially. If you look at many traditional cities around the world that have narrower, taller buildings because they have to avail of such features. So this can all be studied really programmatically using algorithmic tools in a digital twin. And I think it's one of the interesting things you can do. We did a job in India with Norman Foster, which was the new capital city of Amaravati, that used an integration with a Canadian software company that had a microclimate simulation tool that would allow us, or the architects of the project, to manipulate building models, introduce new elements, introduce landscape features, and then use that tool to simulate the resultant microclimate impact. It was done off-site in a high-performance cloud, but we would see the impact on thermal temperature in the middle of a specific day in summer. Remarkable stuff. And we were able to use that technology to show how we could use architecture and landscaping and a simulation tool to reduce the average street temperature by 12 degrees during summer, which is remarkable stuff. And the resultant savings in emissions and load is extraordinary from those types of maneuvers. And we haven't really bought any technology, right? So that's great.
It's brilliant. So is the approach then to choose one use case at a time and keep building it up that way, or is that not the right approach?
And we'll probably do a few at a time, I think, since we can get the data and we're doing a relatively small area. I don't want to take away from your questions, but Narissa Moray had a good one. And that's exactly, Narissa, a question that I had as well. So I have a background in GIS. So when this was brought to us, one, the Esri system and several of the GIS systems, they're just not really responsive enough for us, for us in order to do something like this. And we don't really get a lot of that predictive analytics that I think we're really excited about getting with City Zenith and the digital twin model. So I think that's another exciting feature that we're excited about using, which is why I know cities traditionally use a lot of GIS systems, but which is why we're excited about the City Zenith one. Specifically. And then Michael had a question. I think that's for Jason. I can't answer that one.
Yeah, is there any involvement with ASU's visual decision-making theater?
The Decision Theater? Not at this moment, but there's a number. I mean, one of the great things about being at Arizona State University is there's a huge just number of schools. One of the ones we are working with is the Knowledge Exchange for Resilience, and Patricia Solis. She's doing amazing groundbreaking work on urban heat island mitigation, and is really excited about being able to use this to better understand. And obviously, we're in the middle of the desert here and do 100+ days of 100 degree heat. And so that's a big thing. And understanding the impacts of buildings on shading, the impacts of cool pavement, cool roofs, trees, all of these other mitigation things is one of the ways in which we'll be able to engage ASU in using this. And then if you haven't checked out the Decision Theater, it's a pretty amazing space. So, but they're not actively involved at the moment.
Thank you. We have a question about how do you do economic and financial assessments with the digital twin?
I think that might be for me.
Yes.
We integrate with tools that do this, leveraging the architecture that we provide. So what the digital twin architectural framework will allow us to do is to have a 3D canvas, allows us to isolate different data objects within a building, at a floor, a room, or even an object level. And that is the kind of unique power of being able to integrate basically space-time data, which, as Sarah mentioned, GIS doesn't really do, and it gets clunky and heavy for those types of calculuses. The digital twins are built on very dynamic game engine technology, so a lot of it is about how fast and quick can we do this. So it's really your game engine driven technology and lightweight models on the front end that's constantly dynamic, so you can manipulate the environment, and then in the back end, it's all deep Kubernetes stacks of data that scales out to wherever. And we are, we've been on Amazon since the beginning, AWS, and have chosen them as a core element of our digital twin stack because of the quality, basically, of the cloud services and related services they provide. We have used them all and with different clients, and we settled on them a long time ago, and it's never changed. So there are a couple of questions, Sarah, from shareholders I got to answer real quick.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can get emails. So very quickly, Andy Court, are you marketing to Saudi Arabia? Yes. Last week, I spoke to the new head of digital for NEO, and we have a Saudi investor based in Jeddah who is obviously very well connected there. Our first project in Saudi Arabia is Lamana Tower. It's in the Corniche in Jeddah that we announced, I think, about 6 months ago. And then there was a couple of others here that were kind of quickly for me. Something about switching our share portal from Corconics to VStock. There's a bunch of shareholders on the call. So when we moved the regulation A+ to issuance, we were required to change the share transfer agent to one of two that they worked with, and basically the two best in the industry. And we chose VStock. So you now have VStock accounts. And there was one more here real quick. Let's see. Oh yes, the one about IoT. So have you looked into the need for the transfer of IoT data, or possibly a data transmission network like the Helium IoT network? So in the Vegas project, we've got a partner there called Turbine, kind of like Turbo. Turbine is a data aggregator in a single IoT hub, so everything is being driven through them. So all the sensor data, they've got sensors deployed throughout these 7 square kilometers that we're doing in Vegas. So we're going to see a lot of real-time information there. And yes, we do leverage and prefer to high performance IoT hubs. And this one is actually city specific, so it's That was me.
So can the CFO use the digital twin as a dynamic digital asset management inventory?
Yes, and they do. For asset management, for asset monitoring, for performance monitoring, etc. Yes.
Okay. We have a quick question about the Phoenix project, about whether it's working to get high-speed rail from airport to Cardinal Stadium and back. I don't know if you can answer that at this stage, Sarah.
I don't know if you know that, do we, Sarah? But,
well, so I mean, I can say that the city of Glendale did not want to move forward with working with our light rail program. If they want to, we would love for that to happen, which is our multi-user system for moving transit in downtown and throughout the city is light rail. But it would be awesome to do anything like that with outer cities. Right now, it takes over an hour and a half to get on the 26-mile route from one of the outer burbs into downtown. It takes a long time.
Okay. And so finally, you said that this is a pilot to hopefully scale up. What kind of success factors will you and the other possible participants be looking for to scale that up, do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, and the pilot was really to help get the city of Phoenix on board with using this in a big way. I think the big success factor that we can have is just to show proof of concept. It works, it's functional, it looks good, it's user friendly, and the data is correct. I mean, it's good data in, good data out, so that's a lot on my shoulders to do that, and that it's something that's beneficial for people. So I think those would be the biggest, the biggest ways to move about. And then also, if we can prove real effect from using it, in whichever way is possible, whether we get influence or policy changes or things can, present at council and say, hey, by using this, you can get this, that would be a really big, a really big proof of concept for expanding.
Brilliant. Jason, anything to add?
Again, I think this is a journey, right? Like, we're at this amazing moment where cities are facing all of these threats from urbanization, globalization, climate change. And then there's all of these amazing technologies, right? The cloud, big data, mobility. And I think, again, digital twin is a really powerful one. Can we prove that out? And then can we create some just real impactful use cases? And again, share those with the world and help advance this in a way that might not just happen organically or happen as quickly or as well organically. So I think that's the real outcome for us that we're looking for.
Brilliant. Well, we're pretty much out of time now, but I'm sure if anyone has any further questions, if you send them in by email, I think the participants will be happy to answer them via email. But Michael, any closing words from you?
No, just thank you very much to Sarah and to Jason and to both Sarahs for for supporting us. This is a tremendous opportunity. I can't tell you how excited I am about this one for 50 reasons. We're out of time, but I know we have fabulous partners, and my vision of success here is to make sure that Sarah and Jason get what they need by the end of this project, and we begin to get the city of Phoenix and the residents of Phoenix and businesses in Phoenix familiar with this technology and using it. So, and thank you to all the people who joined today. We had a great turnout from all over the world, and grateful to all of you for taking time out of your day. And there will be, I guess, Sarah, yes, a recording of this made available shortly, yes?
Yes, definitely. All right, well, good luck with the project, and we look forward to hearing more about the results. So thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.